Hello and welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy, where your dreams are our mission. This is Yatharth here, and today we shall be discussing about the Uniform Civil Code. We'll see this as per the polity syllabus and also as per the UPSC view. So let's come to the topic. So when we talk about the Uniform Civil Code, so code is something that translates one thing into the other or processes something. When you talk about the uniform, that means the form of which is uni or same all through. When we talk about the civil, so when we talk about the civil citizens of India, they have two type of laws governing themselves: criminal laws as well as civil laws. So while the criminal laws are same for all, that means they are already uniform, the civil laws are not uniform. There are various different personal laws which govern various different communities or people from different religions. So it's based on a religious identity. All right. Let us also talk about the origin of this matter, that are DPSP, Directive Principles of the State Policy. So the origin of DPSP is in the Spanish Constitution, from where it went to the Irish Constitution. In the Irish Constitution, the Article 45th deals with the DPSP. Then it was later adopted by the Indian Constitution. And this is in the part 4th of Indian Constitution, which harbors Articles 36 to 51. Especially the Article 44th deal with the UCC. Alright, so this is where this matter originates. Let us now talk about the UCC itself. Alright, so what is Uniform Civil Code? So it's mentioned in the Article 44 of Indian Constitution. So please remember this article 44th of the Indian Constitution. And this is a part of DPSP. So this we have already talked about. These principles are not legally enforceable and not legally justiciable. Alright, unlike the fundamental rights. So DPSP can be violated and justice may or may not be served based upon the violation of them. Alright. So they are only here to guide the state in making policies for the welfare of the citizen. When we talk about the state means basically government here, whether it's central or state government. Alright, let's move further. So it has been supported, the UCC, by some as a way to promote a national integration. So it will integrate things, of course, because it will create some sense of uniformity. Alright. But others oppose it as a threat to religious freedom and diversity. So what is the present status of the UCC in India? Let us see that. So the only state in India that has UCC right now is Goa. Alright, so which retained its common family law known as the Goa Civil Code after it was liberated from Portuguese in 1961. So it still follows the complete UCC, let's say. And Goa is the only state in India to have this right now. The rest of India follows different personal laws based on their religious or communal identities, how they identify themselves. Alright. So currently, not only Muslims but also Hindus, let's say Jains, Buddhists, Sikhs, Parsis and Jews, they are also governed by their own personal laws and they are determined by their religious identities. So this is one thing. So personal laws, this is the basis of personal laws. Alright. So let's say what are the challenges in implementing UCC? So India is a diverse country, which we have seen again and again in various different questions, various different lectures. When we talk about India, it's a diverse country. That is the first thing that we know and talk about India, the unity in the diversity. So of course with diverse, there come diverse cultures. The origin is different, the practices are different. All right, there are various different things when you talk about India. Now making them uniform can do more harm than the benefit. So let's talk about this. What are the challenges involved? So to find a common ground and uniformity along such diversity is very difficult and complex. That where do all agree? And ultimately it is about the agreement of the people itself, because the kind of governance we follow is democracy. All right. Okay. The other thing is many personal laws are not codified already or documented. So they are based on the oral tradition. Now because of this, it becomes very difficult to implement the UCC. All right. Second thing is there is a resistance, a very well-known resistance from the religious and minority groups. So many religious and minority groups view UCC as an infringement on their religious freedom. Religious freedom. So this is religious freedom is also a part of our constitution as well as preamble. So they fear that UCC would impose a majoritarian or homogeneous law that would disregard their identity and diversity. So they also argue that UCC would violate their constitutional rights under Article 25. So these are the articles related to UCC, please remember. So let's also see what does Article 25 guarantees. Article 25 guarantees what things? Freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of free religion. So if the religion says that this is the way, this is the code through which this religion is to be followed, and let's say I identify myself with this religion, that I'm supposed to follow this code and not the UCC. So that is the issue here. And Article 25 says that propagation and practice of free religion should be there, is guaranteed by the constitution. All right. So this is the main issue here. Second thing is lack of political will and consensus. So political will is lacking among many states because of the politics, simply because it may create a communal tension and create an issue with the vote bank. So these things are now explicitly being asked in the UPSC also. So you can mention these very diplomatically. Now another thing, when we talk about the implementation of the UCC, the basic idea that the UCC serves, just a second. So the basic idea that UCC serves is uniformity. But when we see and tackle the issues such as the socio-cultural diversity, social, cultural, economic, religious, traditional, then when we are implementing the UCC, they all have to be taken care of, surveyed. The code will have to be drafted, harmonizing and rationalizing the various personal laws and practices in India. So further, it would require a wide consultation and participation of various different pressure groups, let's say religious leaders, legal experts, women rights group, human rights group, the minority groups. So this is also one perspective to it, the challenges involved. I'll tell you in the last how to make an answer with this as well, no issues. Okay. Another thing is that it would require a robust mechanism of enforcement and awareness. That means not only the implementation, but also the education about the implementation will be necessary when it comes to the UCC. All right. Now let us see that what are the benefits of UCC? What are the pros? So these are the things we must shed a light on. All right. So one thing is the national integration and secularism. Secularism and national integration. So when we talk about these two things, let us see how they work out in a view of UCC. So UCC would promote national integration and secularism by creating a common identity, not the religious identity anymore. It is better to identify ourselves as an Indian rather than, let's say, our religion. Moreover, upon implementation, UCC will enforce the secularism that the country is based on, which it follows. So it would also reduce the communal and sectarian conflicts that arise due to different personal laws. So no more personal laws. Our religions can be different, our thought processes could be different, but in the end, this is the identity that we must create for ourselves. Alright. So it would also uphold the constitution values of equality. This is in the preamble. So please use these words: equality, fraternity, and dignity for all. So equality must be promoted because all, whether however they identify themselves, they must be equal. Second thing is fraternity, that means basically brotherhood. So this must also be encouraged. So in order to create a common identity for people towards a common goal, the betterment of India. And the third thing is dignity, that one must not feel abandoned when they change their religious identity or be governed by various different personal law. All right. Okay. Let us talk about one more thing which is very important here, which is gender justice and equality. Gender justice and equality. So UCC would ensure gender justice and equality by removing the discrimination and oppression faced by women under various personal laws, especially the Sharia law. So various teen talaq cases were there. Alright, there are various divorce related cases, remarriage related cases, maintenance related cases. So this can be also, let's say, a view. And it would grant equal rights and status to women in manners of marriage. This is the main issue here. Marriage, divorce, inheritance. This is one more thing very important here. Another thing is adoption. And last thing is maintenance, let's say. So this will be far easier for women if UCC is implemented, especially in the Muslim religion or Islamic religion. All right. Let's talk about one more thing, the simplification and rationalization of the legal system. So it is, yes, that it will be hard for the government to codify, harmonize, survey, rationalize and make one code. But this one code, if created, it will simplify the legal system. Because the courts will not have to look whether the person accused or person who is, let's say, with the case is governed by which of the personal laws. They can just simply ignore the religious identity and go on with the UCC. All right. Let us see another thing, another perspective. So it will make the law more accessible and understandable for the common people as well. All right. Let's say I identify myself as a Hindu, or I belong to the Hindu religious community. Now, I may not be able to understand one case which is going on as per the Muslim law, Muslim personal law, because that is different. The code is different there. So I don't understand whether the justice has been served or not. So it will make it very easy for the people to understand, if all are governed by a single code, that the justice and how it works. All right. Let us come to one more thing, that it will harmonize the civil and criminal laws. The civil, many civil outcomes, the outcomes of many civil suit are also connected to criminal laws. One thing which may lead to a crime in one religion may or may not be a crime in another religion. So while the criminal laws are same for all, why the civil laws are different? If the civil laws also become same, then this will keep in sync between both the laws, whether they are civil or criminal. All right. One more thing is modernization and reform of outdated and regressive practices. So there are many regressive practices such as triple talaq. You can read about them and form your own perspectives on the answer. There is polygamy. There is child marriage. All right. So it would also accommodate the changing social realities and aspirations of the people. People are changing, and so should be the coded religion of personal laws, and now become the UCC. Let us also see what are the important cases which are already related to the UCC. One is Shahabano Begum. This is a very famous case versus Muhammad Ahmad Khan. Not important, just remember the Shahabano Begum. So this case was 1985 case. And the Supreme Court upheld the right of a Muslim woman to claim maintenance from her husband. So this is related to maintenance under section 125 of the Criminal Procedural Code. So see here, criminal code was, let's say, implemented in a civil suit. So even after the expiry of the iddat period. So the iddat period is what? You can read about it. It's a personal law. All right. So this case is very famous. Another case is Sarla Mudgal versus Union of India. This was in 1995. And the Supreme Court held that a Hindu husband cannot convert to Islam and marry another woman without dissolving his first marriage. So let's say one Hindu man is already married to a Hindu woman. Now he cannot convert to Islam just to marry another Muslim woman without dissolving this first marriage. All right. Another case was Shaira Bano versus Union of India. This is another, let's say, most famous case. Shaira Bano. This is different from the earlier Shah Bano Begum case. So please remember this. This case is latest as well. It was in 2017. And Supreme Court recommended that Parliament should enact a law to regulate Muslim marriages and divorces. It also declared the practice of teen talaq as unconstitutional, a violation of fundamental rights. All right. So let's see what is the way forward from here. One thing that we got to know is unity and uniformity is sure with the UCC. So we talk about the unity and uniformity. So these two things are sure. So the Indian Constitution allows for both integration and restricted multicultural approaches to accommodate cultural differences. One more thing is unity is more important than uniformity. So India should preserve its diversity. This is a diplomatic answer, we can say. So India must focus on preserving its diversity. And discussions and deliberation with the various stakeholders must take place. As I already told you, various pressure groups, religious leader, minority communities. And it should strike a balance, let's say. The Law Commission should aim to eliminate only those practices that do not meet the constitutional standards. So what basically goes against basic human rights, such as teen talaq, or what goes against the constitutional ideals of our India. So they all should be declared invalid. And Muslim clergy should lead the reform process of Muslim personal law. So it's better to do it on your own rather than waiting for the government to apply a UCC. All right, so these can be the way forward. One more thing. Let's talk about the constitutional perspective, which will always be helpful in the answer writing. So the Indian Constitution upholds the right to cultural autonomy and aims for cultural accommodation. One thing is Article 29, the part first, protects the distinctive culture of all citizens. So this is related to cultural protection. And Muslims need to question whether practices like polygamy and arbitrary unilateral divorce align with the cultural values. So there is a culture of India as well, which is more important than the personal cultures or religious cultures. So this does not align with the Indian culture, the Indian values. So this should change. This is the main thing. And the focus should be on achieving a just code that is more just to all the communities, may or may not be uniform. Alright, so this was our today's lecture. We'll just revise a bit and how to structure the answer. So we can start with the introduction, where we talk about the cultural diversity of India and the need for its preservation. We can also give a line about how some personal laws are incoherent with the constitutional or cultural values of Indian religious identity. We can then go on to the body of the answer. We can talk about UCC, its origin, the role of various stakeholders, its present status, what are the challenges involved. Finally, we can go with the way forward. In a way forward, we are supposed to be very diplomatic as to not be biased towards yes or no. We must be only biased toward India. So, the preservation of Indian unity, integrity, secularism, cultural values, various cultural aspects is necessary. Whether UCC is necessary or not necessary, we don't have to give an opinion on this. We can just say that a just code would be very good. Some reforms must be taken as per to eliminate those personal laws which are incoherent with the constitutional values of India. And in conclusion, we can say that unity is more important than the uniformity. One just code can solve all these problems. Alright, so this was today's lecture. I hope you learned a lot. This is Yatharth here. I'll see you in the next video. Keep studying and have a good day.